Right, behind me is the Spectrum Leisure Centre in Guildford in Surrey, and I'm here to lose my virginity. Alright, don't worry, not being dodgy or edgy or anything like that. I'm actually here to lose a bit of sporting virginity. I'm actually going to go to my first ever live ice hockey game. It's a match between the Guildford Flames and the Manchester Storm in the EIHL League Challenge Cup round something or other. So I'm gonna head in there, find my seat and see some ice hockey for the first time ever. As I said before, this is the first time I've ever been to an actual ice hockey match. I used to love watching ice hockey on grandstand in the 80s and early 90s when they showed matches from the Autumn Cup and the playoff championships, back in the days when the dominant teams were the now defunct Murrayfield Racers and Durham Wasps. Some of those teams are still around though, such as the Slough Jets, Bracknell Bees, Cardiff Devils, Nottingham Panthers and Sheffield Steelers. These days it's all on subscription TV, specifically Premier Sports. I already have TNT and Sky, so I can't really justify getting another service just to watch an occasional match. Ice hockey has been played competitively in the UK since the formation of a 5-team league in 1903, the first in Europe. The Great Britain national team won the first European Championships in 1910, and then again in 36, 37 and 38. They also won Olympic gold in 1936, though the team was made up of dual British-Canadian nationals who learned the sport in Canada. 1931 saw the formation of the English League, and leagues operated in England and Scotland separately up to 1954. The British National League ran from 1954 to 1960, then teams competed in the Northern and Southern Leagues. A new National League started in 1982, reforming in 1996 as the Ice Hockey Super League, and again in 2003 as the Elite Ice Hockey League. From 1946 to 53, England and Scotland held Autumn Cups, competed for in the early months of the season. In 1954, the National Autumn Cup was introduced as the ice hockey equivalent of football's FA Cup. This is a match in the Challenge Cup competition, which is a tournament competed for by the 10 Elite Ice Hockey League teams. It started in 1997 to fill up the schedule when the now defunct Ice Hockey Super League reduced the schedule to 28 games in advance of holding a tournament with European teams that never materialised. Originally, in addition to the Benson and Hedges Autumn Cup, it has been the sole cup competition for Elite League teams since 2001, when the Autumn Cup was discontinued. The home team, the Guildford Flames, were formed in 1992, and after enjoying repeated success in the second tier, they were admitted to the Elite Ice Hockey League in 2017. They made it to the playoff championship final in 2023, losing to the Belfast Giants 4-1. Initially playing games at Alexandra Palace in London, they moved into the 2,200 capacity Spectrum in January 1993 and have been there ever since. Their opponents in the Manchester Storm were formed in 2015 to fill the league space left by the withdrawal of the Hull Stingrays. Previously, there had been the Manchester Phoenix, who were founder members of the EIHL, but moved to the second tier English Premier League in 2009, folding in 2017 after the Storm took over playing in the Altrincham Ice Arena. Before that, there had been the Manchester Storm, who played at the Manchester Arena from 1995 to 2002, and still hold the record for the highest attendance at a British ice hockey match, 17,245 versus the Sheffield Steelers in 1997.
Drawing them.
So, what was it like? Well, as you can see, the small arena was completely full, and I hope you can hear that it was a great atmosphere. There was about 2,000 supporters, including a few that had travelled from up north. It was great to see so many local fans kitted out in jerseys, caps and scarves, and none of it was cheap. I paid £20 for a cap, and the jerseys were £75. Tickets are about £20 for adults, and a single adult season ticket is £400. That's pretty good for 27 home regular season league games, and at least another 5 for the Challenge Cup. This is more than a fun evening out between Nando's for tea and a few beers at night. This is the big team in the local area, far more important than the local non-league football team or whichever professional team is within driving distance. There's also the Surrey 89ers of the Super League basketball competition, but their arena is half the size. The Flames are the number one team in the town.
The Scottish are better anyway!
The atmosphere was great and friendly, but that doesn't mean the crowd were dull. The fans around me had no problem letting the refs know when their calls were wrong or non-existent, but there was no foul language being held around. It was very family friendly and all fans were able to mingle without any issues. It would be interesting to compare this to one of the big rivalries though, the biggest being Sheffield Steelers and Nottingham Panthers.
Would have been a tripping the other way.
That's awful, Lee. Come on. Watch out.
As for the match itself, well, I don't know what constitutes a great game. As you probably already noticed, it was difficult to film at times. This is a fast sport that does require a bit of concentration to keep up with. Also, I don't know the rules, so many of the stoppages and gripes from the locals were a bit of a black box for me.
You got them soft, drop!
I did enjoy though. It was fast, back and forth and a little brutal at times. In the TV series The Practice, Alan Shaw describes ice hockey thus. Hockey is speed, finesse, skill and power, none of which has anything to do with mayhem. It may look like men bashing into each other, but watching the players gliding across the ice, switching direction in a split second like it's perfectly natural is something special. Also there was no fighting, not even close. The EIHL loves a punch-up, and the commentators even provide analysis when things kick off. This is stopped in other leagues, and guess what? The game is still exciting and enjoyable. There really is no justification for not stopping it. So, have I been converted to ice hockey? Well, yes. I've been watching highlights of the EIHL on YouTube, but annoyingly there doesn't seem to be a single site for EIHL highlights. You have to go to the individual team pages for that. My mate is suggesting going to a game in Gosport, home of the third tier Solent Devils, which will definitely be interesting to see what it looks like outside the top division. The outcome of this match, Guildford won 6-3. As of posting, they're bottom of Group A and unlikely to make the knockout phase. In the league, they're 7th in the table and in line for the playoffs, but it's early days at the moment. However, the season pans out, I'm sure the spectrum will be at capacity each match, with locals cheering their players, jeering their opponents and complaining about every call the refs make against them, just like true sports fans.